People crossing the border into Texas are not staying in Texas. Back in April, Governor Greg Abbott ordered people who cross the Mexico-Texas border to be chartered at Washington, D.C. if they agreed to it. It was a response to the planned end of Title 42, a policy allowing the federal government to turn away people at the border in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. Now, Title 42 was scheduled to end in May. It hasn't actually ended, but Texas has continued to charter the policy, and now people are being taken to New York. KVUE's Natalie Haddad joins us, and Natalie, the mayor of New York, criticizing the governor for his policy.
That's right, Rob. Good morning to you. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is calling Governor Greg Abbott's actions unimaginable. The first bus arrived in the Big Apple on Friday, and at least 50 people so far who crossed the border into Texas have been taken to New York. Mayor Adams said the city is prepared to provide services to asylum seekers and is helping them provide shelter, because Adams says America has always been a country open to people who are feeling persecution and other intolerable conditions.
We've always welcomed that. This governor is not doing that in Texas, but we are going to set the right message, the right tone of being here for these families.
Governor Greg Abbott released a statement on Friday when the first bus arrived in New York. It reads in part, quote, "New York City is the ideal destination for these migrants who can receive the abundance of city services and housing that Mayor Eric Adams has boasted about within the sanctuary city. I hope he follows through on his promise of welcoming all migrants with open arms so that our overrun and overwhelmed border towns can find relief," end quote. Now, we do not know how many people crossing the border will ultimately end up in New York City. As of mid-July, about 5,200 migrants had been bused from Texas to Washington, D.C. Send it back to you.
Natalie Haddad with the latest on the border crisis. Natalie, thank you very much. And the governor says he's not going to stop with those efforts anytime soon. He says he's protesting what he calls open border policy of the Biden administration. He says this busing will help border towns again struggling to handle the influx of people, and he talked about it at CPAC on August 4th.
I got one thing to tell you and to tell them. There are more buses on the way as we gather at this conference today.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon rejected a request for help from the District of Columbia. D.C.'s mayor says there's a growing humanitarian crisis because Texas and Arizona have sent migrants to the nation's capital, thousands of them. She says local organizations need help dealing with the influx of people.